holiday spirit, you had Andrew Johnson, 1868, on Christmas, December 25th, 1868, gave a blanket pardon to all the Confederates, all the slave owner pieces of shit, all the poor whites who fought for the slave owning pieces of shit. He says, you guys are all forgiven. No problem. It's Christmas. It doesn't matter that you killed, 300,000 people that were fighting for the Union. Andrew Johnson, probably the worst fucking president in American history. You have John Wilkes Booth, who kills Abraham Lincoln, effectively makes Andrew Johnson president, and the point of doing that was that he was more sympathetic to the Confederacy. Andrew Johnson was for the poor whites, but he was a very big racist. So by murdering Abraham Lincoln, John Wilkes Booth did actually help the Confederates out. Lincoln wanted like a 10% or 20% plan. Everybody had to pledge allegiance before they could get into the country or to, come back into the Union. But Andrew Johnson, he basically fucked the country over. He fucked the country over. He was fucking racist, give this blanket pardon, and this was on Christmas, so Merry Christmas, right? You're a fucking racist piece of shit, like that shooter in the Planned Parenthood, or that Dylan Roof, right, just goes up into a church and shoots 9 black people for no fucking reason whatsoever. Planned Parenthood shooter, he had a rap sheet. He got charged with a bunch of stuff with, like, leering and domestic violence and some other fucking bullshit. But he was part of the Ku Klux Klan, too. So here's this write-up on History.com. At the tail end of his term as president, Andrew Johnson gave a handful of former Confederate rebels a famous Christmas present by way of proclamation 179 on December 25th, 1868. Johnson issued amnesty to all and every person who had fought against the United States during the Civil War. Because of Andrew Johnson, that's why Reconstruction fails. There was actually, South Carolina. South Carolina had more than 50% of the representatives were black. Black people actually did control South Carolina because they were the majority of South Carolina. So that's phenomenal. There was like a bright, shining moment in American history when Abraham Lincoln's experiment was successful. And not only were black people able to get into positions of power, but so were the whites who was in favor of it. But 1877, there was a agreement between Tilden v. Hayes. The election was very close. The Republican was basically the winner, but Democrats weren't going to give it up. And so Tilden v. Hayes, the compromise was, if you end the occupation in the South, because that's the only way you're going to force, these fucking racist dirtbags to actually do people right. The Freedmen's Bureau, where they had schools and they were having confiscated lands were given to the newly freed slaves. After 1877, the occupation in the South was gone, and then that opened the door for the Mississippi Plan and for essentially all the victories of the Civil War to be rolled back, and then black people wouldn't get their freedom for another 100 years. So Andrew Johnson's a piece of shit. This is what he did, December 25th, 1868, amnesty to everybody who had fought against the United States. A Confederate was a treasonous, terrorist, and racist, right? They was against America, against this country, against this nation, against the Union, and they didn't mind fucking killing, other Americans. So the rebellion, they want to fucking, they didn't give a shit about killing, other Americans. So, and for what? Just so 400 slave owners could keep on whipping and beating their slaves? And in fact, poor whites, that fucks poor whites over. You can't compete with someone who works for free. How can you compete with someone who works for free? You cannot. Andrew Johnson's blanket pardon was actually the fourth in a series of post-war amnesty orders dating back to May 1865. Earlier agreements had restored legal and political rights to Confederate soldiers in exchange for signed oaths of allegiance to the United States, but these pardons exempted 14 classes of people, including certain officers, government officials, and those with property valued over $20,000. The Christmas pardon stood as a final and unconditional act of forgiveness for unreconstructed Southerners, including many former Confederate generals. And then Kentucky was set to secede after the Civil War. So Kentucky picked the Union, they won the war, but these Confederates kept on getting into office over and over again. And then look today. I mean, look at the sort of bigot that was elected in Kentucky today. So I don't know the 30%. I don't know if the 30% were former Confederacy. That's what one of those Courier Journal authors were talking about. But that's it's fucking bullshit. It's fucking bullshit. You know, you wave that Confederate flag, you think, well, oh, it's America, you're allowed to do that, right? You're allowed to be wave a symbol of hatred, and most people that I know of that wave the Confederate flag are just racist fucking assholes. No, I don't believe you that you're for states' rights and all this other shit. Fuck off. I think you're just either an asshole who want to be like, oh, I'm rebellious. There's even, in Virginia and in Kentucky, there's places where they still have the Confederate flag as their mascot in high schools. So, you know, that, like, what the fuck? You have a symbol of a nation that want to fight against, like, fuck the Confederacy, fuck the Confederate flags, fuck people that actually are in support of that shit. Like, seriously, that's some bullshit. It's like they have no sense of understanding of American history. It's also they're anti-America, they're anti their own state. You know, it might be a nice, like, flag. It's sort of like a Nazi swastika. The Kentucky flag, you know, it's just like a little two guys are shaking hands or whatever. It's not, you know, like an X. And the X is a powerful symbol, very clear. You can see exactly what the fuck is going on. Swastika, very, you know, clear symbol of what's going on. Whereas, like, the stars and stripes, I like, the American flag's pretty good. But some of these state flags, it's just hard to sort of, it's a blue flag with, like, little flowers on the side and, you know, two fucking people shaking hands. And it was Henry Clay shaking hands with Daniel Boone. So Daniel Boone, you know, he got his land claims fucking kicked out. And that just ain't right. You know, that just ain't right. So that's a Christmas Day story. So, you know, for all you fucking Confederates, you're forgiven. Don't worry about it if you fucking killed, you know, 300,000 of us. Come on in. The water is fine. And you black people, you all go fuck yourselves. That's Andrew Johnson. Fuck Andrew Johnson. Andrew Johnson, kiss my white peach ass. Peach power. Peace.